you come on in a little closer? All right. My name is Jeff Anderson, and I am one of the lawyers that have the privilege to work with these two courageous survivors that have filed this suit against the Catholic bishops in Pennsylvania. To my right is Dan Monahan, and he is the lawyer working with me and us in leading this charge and this effort. To my left is one of the courageous survivors who chose to put his name in a caption of this case, along with another survivor. And his name is right here. In the caption of the case, Daniel Hillebrand, Sr. And he will be addressing us and why he chose to come forward, use his name, and lead in the case against the Catholic bishops here in Pennsylvania. He is joined by another courageous survivor, and her name is Leanne Natali. Leanne is on her way from the Bronx, where she lives, and I was informed on a bus. She's not with us, but she is also named as a plaintiff in this action. This legal action filed in Philadelphia against every Catholic bishop in Pennsylvania is dedicated and designed to disgorge from the Catholic bishops in Pennsylvania the very dangerous secrets that they hold and continue to hold. Those secrets are not just the names of predatory priests who are offenders, who have worked in their diocese, but it's also the histories of those predatory priests who have molested children in their diocese, and it is also the histories that only they know. And in those histories that only they know, it is also revealed in those documents who has been a part of a cover-up of and concealment of the child sexual abuse. 40 years past to the present. This suit is designed to force them and to get a court order to get each of the Catholic bishops in Pennsylvania to come clean, to and participated in covering them up. They hold these secrets today. Thus, Daniel and Leanne have chosen to stand up. They did not have to use their names. They could have said they were John Doe and Jane Doe, because many of the survivors with whom we work have the privilege to remain private. Dan and Natalie have chosen not to be. And we praise and applaud you for that. There is grave peril. There is grave danger. And it's not in the past, and it is real time. It is because these Catholic bishops have chosen to keep secret. And when I say these Catholic bishops, I want you to hold that side of this for me for a moment. We have here a picture of the Catholic bishops now presiding in each diocese in Pennsylvania. And to our upper left, you'll see Charles Shapu. He is somebody well known to us because he was formerly in Denver. He's also been well known to us and very prominent in thwarting and stopping and lobbying any efforts made by the Pennsylvania legislature, the Colorado legislature, and every legislature across this country who's trying to reform statute of limitations so that kids can be protected, what has this archbishop, the head of the bishops in Pennsylvania, chosen to do in the present and the past? Stop statute of limitations reform. He is the leader nationwide in doing that. And this suit is designed to name him and his colleagues and force him and get a court order against him and his colleagues to require them to come clean, to reveal the truth that only they know and hold in their files. It also needs to be pointed out that Bishop David Zubik from Pittsburgh is also named here in this lawsuit. We also have a long and known history by Bishop Zubik. First, he had been in Green Bay and a bishop there in 2012. At that time, we had two survivors, Todd and Troy Merrifield, who wanted in their lawsuit the bishop to simply come clean in Green Bay and demanded that he disclose the offenders and the files. Bishop Zubik refused to make any disclosure in 2012. As a result, Todd and Troy went to trial, got a verdict against Zubik and the diocese. He was defiant, he was belligerent, he is defiant, and he is belligerent when it comes to child protection. It's also notable that Bishop Zubik went from Green Bay to Pittsburgh, where he worked under both Archbishop Bevilacqua and Cardinal Wuerl, and was named in the 2013 grand jury, Pennsylvania grand jury report, as one of those involved in cover-up, and also one who engaged in confidential settlements, private settlements that required survivors to keep these secrets, so he could keep these secrets, and had been named in the Pennsylvania grand jury report. We point out the Archbishop Chaput and Zubik as just two of the 8 bishops involved in a conspiracy with one another. The Pennsylvania Catholic Conference and each of them conspiring to keep these dangerous secrets. So, having said that, come forward, Dan, and share with us, please, as your wife, Donna, stands with you, and as we stand with some supporters and other advocates, and share with us what it is that causes you to come today here to stand with us from your home in North Carolina, in Thomasville, and to be with your wife, and just come to the podium and come over there.
My name is Daniel Hillebrand, and I'm here today and wanted my name to be a part of this suit. My main thing is if I can help anybody else come forward, if it gives another victim the courage or anything to come forward, and mainly to protect anything happening in the future, to protect the children in the future, and to stop this cover-up and the abuse and stuff that's going on in the church. So that is my main reason for me to be a part of this.
And Dan, let me ask you, the offender that violated you as a child in the Philadelphia area, his name is Dux, correct?
Yes, Father Dux.
And Dux, I don't use the term father. Dux was also named in the 2005 Philadelphia grand jury report as a serial offender, wasn't he?
Correct, yes.
And so when you saw and heard and learned that the priest that violated you as a child had a history that had been known to the archbishops in Philadelphia, how did that make you feel after having carried this secret and this pain for so many years?
It kind of made it feel like it happened all over again.
Yeah.
I was devastated when I first heard about it, and I knew that I had to speak up and come forward.
You've been working hard to rebuild your life, but after this was done to you by Ducks, you had a lot of struggles,
Yes,
and now you have a family and you have a lovely wife supporting you here today.
yes,
And you came here from North Carolina to stand up and call these Catholic bishops out
yes.
to do the right thing and to speak the truth the way you have shared the truth today.
Yes, it needs to be done. They've covered it up for too long.
And you also learned in the grand jury report and in the investigation that we've done that Ducks had a long and known history of having violated a lot of kids.
Yeah, that was one of the more hurtful parts to find out that they knew of his abusive past and just left him in there, put him in another church, and left him to abuse more kids.
Well, Dan Hillebrand, we thank you and your courageous wife, Donna, for standing up for your truth, for the truth, and really to the benefit of kids who can and will be protected because you've chosen to call out the Catholic bishops in Pennsylvania. You've chosen to stand up for those kids and make them disclose and disgorge and ask the court to, in this case, to force them to disclose and disgorge so the kids can be protected. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Dan Monahan, come on, you stay up here, stay up here. Dan Monahan, you have been working with us and our firm for how long?
9 years.
9 years, all right. And so, actually, Dan called you many years ago.
Yeah, it was immediately after the 2011 grand jury. He might could have been one of the first survivors that contacted us after we filed the first suit in February of 2011. His story was typical of what we've heard, dozens, if not hundreds of times at this point. He was a vulnerable 12-year-old boy, and his parents had just separated, and Father Ducks, almost like out of a playbook, identified him as a potential victim for abuse, and then continued to do that for quite some time. So we applaud his courage for coming forward today. In 2011, we couldn't provide him with the justice that he deserves in the legal system. Now we can. We're moving forward on that now with this suit, and I applaud his courage for doing that.
And Dan Monahan, many years ago, actually, Dan Hillebrand called Dan Monahan here in Philadelphia because you had seen what the grand jury reported about Ducks. You felt like you needed to do something. And at that time you expressed to Dan Monahan, who works with us here in Philadelphia and across Pennsylvania, that you needed to do something, right?
Yes, right.
At that time, however, we were in battle with the Archdiocese of Philadelphia and the Catholic bishops, and they were hiding behind the statute of limitations. And every case that we had brought at and around that time ultimately resulted in dismissal, got thrown out of court. Why? Because each of these Catholic bishops in Pennsylvania hid behind and continued to hide behind a shield called the statute of limitations, that is the passage of time. And as a result, they have turned away dozens and hundreds of survivors from allowing them access not only to the courtroom, but the opportunities to expose their offenders. And it is that shameful tactic that all the Catholic bishops in Pennsylvania and that Archbishop Chaput have utilized to keep secrets, to harbor offenders, to hide their own involvement in the cover-up that needs to be named and called out and changed the way it has in other states. I think it also needs to be mentioned that Archbishop Chaput just 2 days ago announced an independent reconciliation and reparation commission that is modeled after what has been done in New York. And it's an invitation to survivors to come forward to two individuals hired by the Catholic bishop, archbishop, to take claims and allow them to get some reparation or compensation. And indeed, that is something for those survivors that do come forward and use that. But it's far from enough. Why is that so inadequate and deficient? It will allow some survivors to receive some compensation, to be allocated by Ken Feinberg and his associate Camille, who did the same thing in New York. We worked with, and are working with, over 100 survivors, or close to 150 that have gone through that process. And some have gotten some relief from it. But that process in New York, and this process now being set up by Archbishop Chaput and others to follow in Pennsylvania, does not protect one kid. Does not protect one kid. And why not? Because that process keeps it all secret. And so while we fault no survivors, and we will shepherd survivors through that process to get them some help, we also will identify that process as less than sufficient to protect other kids. That's why this suit becomes ever more important, because we do not want these Catholic bishops to continue these dangerous practices and give the impression that they are doing the right thing when we know they are doing the wrong thing. And so to Leanne, Natalie, and to Dan Hillebrand and all the survivors who have stood with us in this journey and stood against the Catholic bishops and their dangerous practices, we express the deepest of gratitude on behalf of those kids that won't be harmed, because you stand with us today here, Dan and Leanne, as well as she travels here on the bus from the Bronx, and with Donna and the other advocates. Having said that, Stacy Benson, one of the lawyers working with us here, anything that needs more that needs to be said? Okay, she says I have covered it. So with that, are there any questions?
Can you explain a little bit about why you think that the particular laws that you're using for this suit, why you think this falls under that, and why you think this is the right time for it? You had mentioned that you couldn't do anything before. What is important about this particular term?
Yeah, the question is what is it now, and this particular law that we're using in this case, do we think can advance our efforts in a way we've never been able to before? And the answer is this. This lawsuit is for conspiracy to conceal a known hazard, also known as a nuisance. It is designed not to collect money damages, but to disgorge those dangerous secrets, because they're maintaining a public hazard, not just past, but in present real time. We have used this same law in other states, and most notably and very successfully in Minnesota beginning in 2013. And beginning in Minnesota in 2013, we sued every Catholic bishop in Minnesota. As a result, we got a court order from a judge that ordered the Catholic bishops and the Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis, to disclose all the names of all the offenders ever reported to them, and they posted now 91 offenders. They also ordered, as we seek in this lawsuit, to have a full disclosure of the histories of all the offenders known to the Catholic bishops in Minnesota, and they turned over hundreds of thousands of pages of files, and the pertinent parts of which we've now made public. So who covered it up over those years is now known to the public, the police, the parishioners, and all those that need to know. As a result, there was and has been a massive cleanup of a massive cover-up in Minnesota. And why did that happen? Because survivors just like this brought suits just like this. The same legal theory. And that gives us great hope and promise that we stand on the survivors and on the courts that have ordered this to happen before and will happen here as it needs to with fierce urgency here in Pennsylvania. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Donna. And thank you, Natalie, Leanne Natalie, for standing up, doing what needs to be done to protect the kids, and calling the Catholic bishops of Pennsylvania out as secret keepers, and that makes them wrongdoers. Thank you all.